Okay, you guys, we're back for another week of Tai Chi from the dojo, and welcome back to all my faithful regulars. And then if you're new, welcome to you, and I'm glad you found us. And let's see, a few updates. The temperature here is not too bad. Still working on the cooler head, and the laptop is, as soon as the cooler is done, I will offer private or semi-private classes, and then depending on how that goes, start the Sunday classes up again. And nobody seems to be in any particular giant hurry for that, so but if that's something you'd really be interested in now, if anybody wants private lessons, just get a hold of me. But because I'm willing to do that, mask up and the whole thing. But yeah, we'll be back going soon enough. And then the other thing is the laptop is going, and but the ISP, I'm changing ISPs again, you guys. So if you had to wait 10 days to 2 weeks for this video, again, thank you for your patience. We will get back onto a rock solid regular schedule soon enough. I know it doesn't make that much difference, but I like for you guys to have, you know, if I encourage you to practice regularly, you should also have something to help with your practice, and have set up a regular routine that helps with people's state of mind. So it's all connected. So what are we doing today? So this is wrapping the pole, just loosening up. Let's do some shoulder rolls. We are doing archery movements today. We did them in yoga recently, so we're going to do them in Tai Chi. Now, there's not that many Tai Chi or Qigong movements directly called an archer does this or archer does that, but there are qualities, any quality of a bow or an archer we can look at. So what are some of the qualities of a bow? And we can look for these qualities in anything we do. So a bow, for instance, stores energy and releases energy. A bow is shaped like that, and it can be thought of as one segment of a much larger circle. So we're going the other way with our shoulders. You keep doing your shoulders. So if this is a bow, it's moving in a circular fashion. One is moving back, one is moving forward. That is another bow-like quality. Anytime something is moving markedly forward and markedly back, that would have a bow quality. Let's do each shoulder independently. And some of the bow references can be taken literally. Others are extremely symbolic and figurative. Ignore my phone. Let's go around the other way. So we won't take them all literally. I'm not an expert archer, but if there are some techniques that can be taken literally, I'll let you know. And because it's pretty amazing, some of the things and then the other thing, just in general, let's loosen our neck, look up and down. Just in general, in archery, there's something called instinctive archery, especially in Asia. Archery is thought of as being very instinctive, which means it's a whole mind-body process. Okay, in Western archery, it's much more meticulous, where they actually have sights the way you sight in a gun. But and what is meant by instinctive archery, it's sort of it's not instinctive. You have to have technique, still keep moving your neck. You have to practice your technique, but at some point you just let everything go, and it all comes together, and the arrow hopefully finds its way to the target. So, and that would be distinguished from lining up sights perfectly on the target. You could do that in a bench, right? Using a mechanism, and your arrow will hit the target because it has to, because of physics. But so what is meant by instinctive? Is that mysterious or spooky? No, because when you throw a ball, you're not lining up any sights. You're not lining up sights like you do on a rifle. You're just throwing the ball. In fact, the ball is not going down any center line from you to the catcher. It's coming in like at an angle like this, right? So that's the most frequent analogy to why instinctive archery is even possible or desirable, because we're doing it all the time. So how is that like Tai Chi? Well, Tai Chi, I teach you guys certain techniques on how to move, how to pivot, how to keep your joints open, how to not have tension, how to engage entire areas of fascia so that you have pulling and twisting. And once you have those techniques, you can experience, so the Tai Chi equivalent of instinctive archery would be sort of like spontaneous Tai Chi or spontaneous Qigong, where just about any movement you make feels as if it could be a movement from Tai Chi. And hopefully you see how that's legitimate. I mean, we're not going to just go ahead and start making up our own forms and stuff like this, but you can certainly, if you're in a good mood, you're just messing around in your living room, you can always feel free to do spontaneous movements, and hopefully they, or before you would do completely spontaneous movements, what you might do, let's massage our neck and shoulders, is you might just take movements from your form and link them together in random patterns. So there's nothing sacred about the sequence of movements in the form. Somebody had to sit down and write that out. It wasn't God, right? Somebody sat that down and write that. Somebody come up with all these human beings, very flawed human beings came up with all this stuff. And so for every movement in the form, they may have thrown two away and kept one, so we don't know what they passed on, right? So just so you don't think that the form was passed down from heaven, you can rearrange it. You have my permission. Again, once you've got certain basics, then, and that's, so anyway, long-winded thing about nothing. So again, let's start with monk picking fruit. So again, how could we make this more dedicated to sort of an archery theme? Well, we've already got a little bit of, make sure you can see my hands. Remember, today right hand is orange, left hand is yellow. If it helps you, if you can see, you can't see anything when my palms are towards you. Anyway, look at this. This already has an archery feel because one thing is going forward and one thing's going back. So we can just, for today, let's accentuate that. And it feels almost like we're drawing a bow, pointing it straight up. Very dangerous to point a bow, shoot a bow up. Our hands are open. We don't always have to imitate the grasping of a bow or the pulling of the bowstring. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Okay, great. That feels wonderful. Excellent. Okay. So that's just an example of a movement that we can make more bow-like. Another one would be, so just to be, we're all on the same page, there's very few stances in Tai Chi. There's this offhand, sort of casual pose with the feet together and the hands on the thigh, at the thighs. I used to call this, I was told that this was Wuji stance because it's completely empty and devoid of anything. But more people refer to this stance as Wuji stance, and this is probably better. This is like our resting posture or our opening or the beginning stance of most of the Tai Chi forms. I think this is probably better thought of as Wuji stance because it's empty of any intention, but it's full of potential. It's full of potential. From here, you can do anything. You can do anything from here. You're ready. We're double weighted, yes, but it's very easy to shift your weight. Okay, so compare that. Why don't we start, for instance, in horse riding stance? Okay, so this is, again, feet are parallel, it's just further out, right? The reason this is not a good place to start is because this is so deeply rooted that it's actually difficult for me to do anything from here. I'm too committed to this, right? So this is good for some things, but for other things, it's not that good. And then I'll turn, so you see, so I'm not leaning forward. I'm not trying not to tip back, something like that. There's different things you can do with your hands. That's a popular thing. So anyway, and then empty stance, or another, the traditional empty stance is just your weight on your back leg, whichever leg you choose to be back. And then it's called empty because this foot is empty. But it's not empty in the way Wuji is empty. Wuji is sort of blank. So I hope that makes sense. But the reason I mention it, well, I'll tell you the reason I mention it in a moment. So let's do one of our teacup exercises. And this will demonstrate our bow stance. Oh, that was the one I didn't show you. With your weight forward, with your weight slightly forward, this is the traditional bow stance, right? Doesn't matter what you're doing with your hands. I mean, so it could be something like that. But your weight is slightly forward. This leg's bent, that leg is straight. This leg is kind of out at like a 45-degree angle. So that's bow stance, empty stance, bow stance, empty stance. Wuji, horse. Okay, so that's basically, that's pretty good. Keep it simple, right? So let's do our side-to-side teacups. Now this is going to go from one archery stance to the other. So haven't done this in a while. So from here to here. Okay, you could go wider if you wanted to, especially if you find yourself going over here. That means that you're projecting forward, so you may as well take a wider stance, right? And then capitalize on that urge, right? If you have that urge, remember, I used to say this is a mistake to lean forward. It's not a mistake. You're doing something that you naturally want to do because the movement of this arm backwards is projecting this hand forward, and it wants to project the whole body forward. Your body wants to go forward. So it's not really wrong. It's actually incredibly right. But remember what we've said in the past is sometimes by limiting my body from doing what it wants to do, it intensifies the power. So it's sort of like the end of a tube of toothpaste sort of intensifies that stream of toothpaste coming out when you squeeze the big center part. All right, something like that. It's not perfect. Doing the best I can. And so I never went out like this, but this would be later. We'll save that for when we're actually doing an archer stance. But just for fun, if you want to, just to feel it. Okay, yeah, just to feel it. Let's really extend all the way out. We rarely fully extend the arms, but you really feel the twist here. The more you extend the arms, the more you're going to feel that twist, right? Whoa. Oh, that shoulder's way too high. Okay, I got carried away. Erase that. You guys know, I don't erase my mistakes, you guys, ever, ever, ever. We have fun with them. I think that mistakes are almost more as instructive as doing something perfectly correct. All right, good. Okay, so then let's do, okay, so now let's do shoot the moon. Okay, so again, this has this shooting theme, and they didn't have guns back when they invented this stuff, so shooting would always mean with a bow. Okay, so so what we did, okay, and you know, in a formal Qigong class, we would meditate. We might, you could have hold your hands at the dantian, you could have your hands at your side, and we'd have some formal way to get into this. But let's just concern ourselves with the movement as it culminates. And this is my same hand and foot forward. The palms are up just like we're doing another teacup exercise. And then there is, okay, let me stand up a little straighter. And my arms are high, right? We used to do this down here, but shoot the moon really is high. But keep your hands able to hold teacups. So the forward hand's going to go back, or forward, and the back hand's going to go back a little bit. And then just simply spin your hands around, step in, step out, and do it again. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to come towards you too much longer until you won't see my hands, but I think you know what my hands are doing. Okay, let me, you guys stay where you are. Okay, so you can see, so, and then the step is just simply step in and step out. A little bit of a zigzag step. Step in, step out. So remember, the forward hand is pushing forward because the back hand's pulling back. So I'm gonna disassemble this movement just for a second. I'm gonna do one more, and then correct you guys as if, okay, hands down. Let's break it down. So see what's going on here? So this should be, it's this opening. So big opening. So this is closed, and this is open. And then around to this side. So we're closed, and then we inhale, open. And one hand back, and the back hand moving back fuels the power of the front hand moving forward. It's not a big movement. All of our most powerful movements are actually small movements. Okay, great. So, so let's make that harder, shall we? Okay, so we started same hand, same foot forward. Okay, don't move your feet, but just switch around. This will be much harder, more twisting. So now it's opposite hand, opposite foot forward. Okay, so ready, set, close, and then open, and then step in, spin the hands around, close, and open. Oh, that's much better. I really like this way. So much twisting. Only as much as you can stand. Okay. Well, I'm all over the place. Yeah, I looked like I was a little crooked there. I'll try to stay a little bit more vertical. Yeah, that's better. Okay, much better. This will be my last one. I don't think you'll be able to see my hands after this. And there's that, a little bit of linearity too. Again, when you take something that's trying to spiral, but you make one part of it stay linear, energy is squeezing out through that gap, right? Okay, great. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Okay, it's time to grab our sash and just review our alignment, right? I think you had it on this, you know, it was like that, and then it's hard to, that's not one for the sash, but when you understand, well, first I'll show you with a real bow and arrow, and then we'll use the sash. Okay, so you guys, I hope you don't have a bow and arrow, and I hope you don't shoot it in your living room if you do, right? So, but you just have, and don't have a target in here. If I did, I wouldn't tell you. But I just want you to see the proper alignment so you know what the heck, what we're doing with this, right? Because you may not remember from when you were back in summer camp, right? So watch my footwork first. So weight slightly forward, and then see that see that alignment, and look at my elbows up. It's not down. It's up. It's even higher. It's out of that straight line. So this would be straight. This actually works better. It's probably because of the shape of the shoulder joint. Okay, so that's that. I'll put this away. And now you see that, and you can use your imagination with the strap. Okay, so we may have done this already, but I always want to refine it and practice it. So we did a bunch of movements with our sash. Some of these came from Jiangyan. Some came from the Vietnamese longevity staff. See, a lot of these are staff movements, and we're just using them as staff qigong, and we're using a sash instead. There is a tradition of using a rope or a sash, and you can do different things with it, right? So we won't do everything we did, but a lot of the things we did, or a lot of things people do, are with straight arms. And we said, well, why can't we bend our arms? Well, sure you can, right? But one of the qualities of archery is one arm is bent and one arm is straight. So that's all I wanted to review today. So, and don't really worry about your stance right now, because we're going to be switching from side to side. So here's what I was just doing, okay? And then this is how we turn it into like a qigong movement. We come over here, careful of your shoulder. And then this is what I wanted to show you. Pull, this hand's pulling. This feels really good. Okay, this hand's resisting a little bit. It doesn't want to be pulled so easily, right? So then watch your good alignment. See that? And weren't we saying last time that some practitioners keep this strap way away from their body? Why should we do that? Why don't we stick? Everything else we do in Tai Chi is very sticky, right? So you might say, well, they keep it away from their body to keep the joints more open. No. It's not far enough from the body to really keep the joints open. So they're just doing it because it just probably looks better. I don't know. But, so if you're not afraid of messing up your hair, you could just actually have this touch your head, right? And then, see it. Okay, so let's go back the other way. Change directions. Just touching my body. It's very sticky. So this really opens up the shoulders. All right, so we did it both ways, and that's all I wanted to show you. And add the idea of one hand pulling, the other one hand resisting a little bit, and that keeps everything as a unit. What I was talking about with keeping your joints open, the only reason I would want to keep this away from my body is to keep this open, right? And you could make a case for that. You could make a case for it, all right? But if you make a case for it, then that would be what you're really trying to do. You'd really try to keep all this open here, okay? If you got your arms out here, but this is all shut down, then you haven't done anything. And don't let this bend, right? So that's a no-no. So everything has to be open and circular, not straight like a robot. So if you want to make it open, it's big in a big circle, right? Okay, so we have to keep in mind why we're doing what we do. Otherwise, things just become arbitrary. Okay, so all of that leads up to the classical Qigong archer. So we come into bow stance, we come into horse riding stance. Why wouldn't we come into bow stance? Why wouldn't we be here? The reason why, and I puzzled over this, I've looked at this so many times, and I used to do this and not care. Now it bugged me, and I started to think about it, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this Qigong movement has so many secrets of archery hidden inside of it. It's really cool. And even if you're not interested in archery, it's just very interesting how Qigong can just be packed with secrets. And sometimes they change over the years, and they're lost. But if you're lucky, you can dig them out. Sometimes you need to know the Chinese language. You can find secrets in the characters. I'm not very good at this, but I'll look anywhere I can. So here it is, basically your horse riding stance. It's a little bit wider than your shoulders. Feet are parallel. There's not going to be any pivoting here, and we're going to be turning from side to side. I will give you a little hint. The hand that comes up on the outside, meaning my outside, meaning closer to you, is the direction we're going to turn. So orange is right, it's closer to you, that means we're going to turn right. Okay, ooh, I pivoted. I'm so bad. I pivoted. Oh, I shouldn't pivot. Okay. We'll start again. Okay, and then, so this is really neat. First of all, what am I going to do with my hands? Okay, you may have seen this before, and if you did, the hand that extends out. Some people use this L-shaped mudra. In yoga, hand positions are mudras. They use that like that. Okay? I'll tell you why that's wrong. I think it just got switched around over the years. This is one of the times when you have to know archery. The L-shaped mudra is how you grip the string in Asian draw. It's the thumb draw. the thumb comes over the string, and then this finger locks it, and then you pull back. So this is not, it's not this hand, it would be this hand, right? But don't keep it, but neither one, so it would be, boing, right? But don't do it, don't use this mudra at all. We're not going to care about this. I want you to keep your hands relaxed. Just make gentle fists with both hands. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. These mudras put tension in the hands and the arms. I just don't like them. I don't know the Chinese word for mudra, I'm sorry. Let's just keep loose fists with both hands. It makes it much easier, but it's just interesting where that came from, or what I believe it came from. So, here we go. Without any further ado, the hands cross in front of me. Let's break this down one more time. Why don't I just come out to here? Well, I could, okay? And that's the way a lot of people do this. But this is beautiful. Okay, in Kyudo, which is the Japanese archery, they come way up to here. And then they settle down on the target. Okay? It's so cool. And in Western archery, we come back to here. In Kyudo, they come back to here, which is, we want this to be as open as possible. If you're here, that's no good. This is shut down, especially if we're not really shooting. Go back where it feels good. This is where the Japanese archers are, and they are in horse stance as far as I know. And then the most beautiful thing is, how do we stop this? Do we just bring our arms down and back up again out to the other side? Well, we could, but in real archery, there is a follow through. And this is the beautiful thing. There's a little more forward movement left in this arm, and there's a lot of backward movement left in this arm. So we come to here, and then 1, 2, 3, and then boom. Both arms kind of came out a little bit. Okay, so that's all the explanation I'm going to give you. Remember the follow through. Okay, so I'm coming through. We're going to go back to the right side this time. Come up as high as you want, because the Kyudo archers come up way high out from their body, and then they come down and bring the hands in closer to the body. So we can do that too. So pause just for a moment and then release your shot. This is so great. There's so many secrets in here to real archery. But remember, intention always helps what we're really doing. So up and out away from the body, and then down and closer to the body. Pulling back, but not completely extended until you release the arrow. Oh man, that's so great. Follow through in real archery is one of the really amazing things, because you would think that if everything was lined up correctly, you would think that what happens after your shot shouldn't make any difference at all. And why it does, I actually don't know, because the arrow's already gone. If I had the comments enabled, someone could leave me a comment. But I think they would leave a lot of other comments besides explaining archery follow through. Oh, it's so great. How about one more to each side? So you can make this as big as you want. Because remember, the Kyudo archers, their bows are like twice as tall as they are. In Chinese archery, sometimes they use really small bows because, oh, I forgot to tell you, Why aren't we in archery stance? Because, and the answer is beautiful, because we're a mounted archer. We're riding horseback. That was our last one. So stand and meditate. So this is, your horse is here, you're riding here, and you're shooting at your target down there while you're riding, or your target here or here. And the idea is the archers are always at the furthest distance away from their enemy, so that the enemy can't throw a spear at you or a rock, and so you stay safe by being out of their range. So, but there is precedent for the archer riding at the enemy, but that's bad form. Because why do you want to enter his range, right? But there is, king rides his horse with fiery eyes, and I believe, so we're in horse stance, but this time we're running straight at you, firing arrows, but I believe over the centuries that the firing of the arrows has turned into punches. So most everyone, when they do this movement, they're either punching straight forward or they're punching obliquely. And they're turning the hand over. See, if you're familiar with this system of Qigong. But I believe this is actually not punches, it's a bow. You can't punch anybody from horseback, right? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, just my theory, I could be wrong, but who could you punch on horseback? Another neat thing about the classic Qigong, archer Qigong, is that your bow begins up here and comes down. When you saw me futzing around with that bow, it was down here. But a mounted archer can't mess around with an arrow pointed down at his horse. He would start up here and drop into that. So all these little clues help inform your movements and your pose, right? So I just think it's really neat. Let us do, well, you know what? Let us go ahead and take a little break. We'll come back and we'll do our form. So if you want, as always, you could go through your form now, hit pause, go through your form, get to the point that is confusing for you, and then when we do our form together, you can focus on that. Each week you can do that, and you get a little further, a little further, a little further. When you get all the way through to the 8th movement, you send me an email and you say, we want to see number 9, show us the 9th movement, right? And otherwise I won't show it to you till you ask me to. And let's see. And then what we're going to do is when we come back, we will review the very first movement of the form, which has a spirit of an arrow in it, right? And then we'll do the form. Then we'll do some movements that come later in the form, which you have no way of knowing, but they're really fascinating nonetheless. So, short break, as long as you want to make it, and we will be right back. Okay, we're back, and we'll do our form now, but first we'll review the very, very first movement of the A side. White snake darts out its tongue, because this is very archery-like in a way. It's not this it's not this side to side archery, right? It's more like the king rides with fiery eyes. It's this frontal archery. And before I forget, I thought of another quality of archery that is similar to Tai Chi, and that is that everybody thinks that there's only one way of doing it and that theirs is the right way and that the other way is the wrong way. But as one of our themes of this class is that no, there's millions of ways of doing things. If you look at archery the way the Olympians do it, you might say that's the highest expression with all their super high-tech stuff. But if you had to make a bow from a tree limb, it would probably be like an English longbow, and it wouldn't even have a recurve, right? If I had to make a bow, and there's amazing people out there making bows out of PVC pipe. So if you guys ever want to get into archery, I'd love to try to make you a bow out of PVC pipe. It'd be really fun. And if we ever do archery, we would do it instinctive archery. We'd do it really close to the target and learn instinctive close to the target and then slowly move further and further away. So it'd be really fun and no big deal. But so that's another quality that archery has, similar to Tai Chi. So let's see, where were we? Oh, so whitesnake darts out its tongue, so we've been doing it as separate moves, which is okay, because we're breaking our form down into these minutia parts, right? So we did step left, the left hand comes up, this was a separate strike, and then step through and punch, right? So somewhere in this general vicinity, right? But viewed as one movement, it's very much like this bow. Again, the bow, the quality of the bow and arrow of one thing going forward, one thing going back, right? And another thing I forgot to mention was when you shoot a bow, there's this idea that this is completely motionless and this is moving back. There is another theory in Mediterranean or Western archery that there is also a forward movement, so that there's this simultaneous movement. This is very controversial. There's a simultaneous front to back, and the last, at the very end of the front movement, that's the release point. It's very controversial, but one of the greatest archers in the world espoused that. And that's really cool because it really gets this front to back. So that's why this movement could be seen as archery-like, right? And then we come to here. Okay, so I'll do that from the other direction. You can do it with me. Okay, so, and all just one smooth movement. So the snake opens its mouth, and then the tongue comes out. So this is the archery part. I'll do it again on the other side. We're still doing this. We're just going to do the right hand. Well, we'll try the left hand, but first another time with the right hand. So here, remember, let the foot land before you begin, otherwise you're not really stable. I did more to the chest that time, but okay, so let's try the other hand. Okay, I haven't practiced this on the other hand yet, so bear with me. Okay, step the right foot up, right hand comes up, left foot comes through. Yeah, that feels really good. And the reason this feels good is because later in our form, bend, bow, shoot, tiger is with the left. So this feels very much like our version of bend, bow, shoot, tiger. I'm going to do left hand from the other side now. Okay, so step the right foot up, right hand, snake's mouth opens, step through, punch. So, and again, this is not, this movement of this arm this movement arm back here, this is not just a flowery movement. There could be an implication that, let's say this is my partner. I grabbed onto my partner's lapel and hold him here as I punch. I don't want to get too martial, get too much into the applications, but there's always this implication that you're kind of keeping your partner in close, right? Like in Muay Thai, like that. So there's that. We did it on both sides. So let us do one thing before we do our form. We haven't, speaking of bows and arrows, we haven't reviewed the concept of the 3 bows. Some people call it the 4 bows. Some people call it the 5 bows. But the principle is it's a wonderful principle that really informs your form. And this will be the intention that we set when we do our form of opening and closing the bows. So the largest and strongest bow is the leg bow, closed and open. The next largest bow is the thoracic or this bow here. So closed is forward, open is here. So close, exhale, inhale, open. And then the third largest would actually be across the shoulders. I'm tipping forward so you can see. You don't tip forward. Closed, open, closed, open. And you could say the arms are bows, closed, open. And then the hands are bows. And generally you make power on the open, but as you can see with my hands, the hands are designed to make power on the close. So it's not always the case. So don't try to isolate these bows. The beauty of the bows is that they all open and close. They generally all open and close simultaneously. So close, everything closes, and then inhale, open. I'll just keep turning around so you can see different angles. You feel it. You feel every bow in your body knows how to close and open, and they all want to get in on it, right? This is not an isolated movement. But one thing neat is, remember, one of our homework assignments, at least in yoga, was to look at our instinctive stretching that you do when you wake up in the morning. And generally, I've noticed, if you did your homework, maybe you noticed too, is that one thing is opening across here, and another thing is actively closing. So this is not a yoga stretch. This is your body stretching instinctively when you get up in the morning. Something's closing, this is closing, and that's opening, right? So just see, everyone's different. And so natural stretches are not everything open, but natural stretches have one thing closing, one thing, and remember, like our lizard walk, that's very open, close, right? So I'm not saying everything opens and closes simultaneously, but sometimes it does, and when it does, it generates great power. So that will be our intention when we do our form. So get ready to do your form. I'm going to face northeast for a change. And we'll do the A side, then we'll do the B side until I go out of bounds. But the A side will just go through the first 8 movements. Okay, so we reviewed the first movement. So white snake darts out its tongue. And then reach up to touch the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. Carry hammer, similar movement. White crane spreads her wings. White ape swings through branches. Someday I got to explain to you why I'm bringing my hand behind my head. I'll need a second person. You don't have to do that. You can bring it in front of your head. All right, over. Pivot, elbow strikes the heart. This is really weird, doing it on a 45-degree angle. Ring the gong. strike a tiger, strum the lute, big pivot, and inspect horse's mouth. Okay, so movement number 9 would be, since I mentioned it earlier, would be pluck and rend. The reason I'm showing you this is that the next movement is opening the great fan, otherwise known as push through mountain. So what's happening is my partner is doing parting the wild horse's mane. I deflect up with this hand and then do opening the great fan, which is very much bow or archery, this feeling here. I just wanted to show you where that came from, and then we'll do it more like Qigong in a moment. But that was the ninth movement, 9th and 10th. Okay, so let's do the B side, and then we'll go back to the transition. So remember our normal transition from here. So what I just showed you is here, but now we're going to go back to here. Okay, so let's do the B side again, facing northeast. And we'll just keep going around with our transitions until I go out of bounds, and that'll be enough. Or 4 times, whichever comes first, okay? So after the 4th time, I should end up facing the same direction. Okay, so B side. Sink into the left foot, right foot goes back. Sink back. Okay. Step back into dragon pose. Our version of single whip. Ingenious. Step around. Strike a tiger. Pull and push. Pivot right and draw the bucket from the well. Okay. Pivot right and downward push. And then here we go. White snake darts out its tongue. We're back on the we're back on the A side. 7 stars. Carry hammer. So here's what we do in White Ape Swings Through Branches. You don't have to go back here. You can just go here. Okay. Okay, great. And then pivot. Elbow strikes the heart. Ring the dawn. So remember I told you don't rock, but you can. But you can rock as long as you don't go up and down. If you keep sinking, you're okay. Okay. And then inspect horse's mouth. I'm almost out of bounds. I think we can go through. Okay, dragon pose. Single whip. I think you can still see me. Strike a tiger. Pull and push. Uh-oh, almost out of bounds. That's our shoulder strike. Draw the bucket from the well. I'm right on the edge, you guys. Okay, here we go. Downward push. Good. Back on the A side. Okay, good. That got me back. Carry hammer. White crane. White ape. Pivot. Elbow strikes the heart. Oh my God, I forgot the open and close. All right. Okay, so open and close. And very much open, close, open. We're back on the B side if you didn't notice. Okay, open. And then maybe close. Close. It doesn't always have to be open, close, open, close. Open. Open some more. So there's little opens and closes hidden in here. It's hard. Sometimes it doesn't really automatically make sense. Okay, that's definitely close. Definitely open. Close. Open. Close. Open. Close. Open. Open. Close. Open. Close. No big deal right here. And then open. Close. Strike a tiger is kind of closing. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Some of them are more obvious than others. How many times have we gone around? We can stop this. Let's stop here. Let's stop here. That's at least 4. I think so. Okay, and you got the idea of the open and close. That's all I wanted you to feel. You can go into more depth. And open and close is like yin and yang. There's always yin in yang and always yang in yin. So there'll always be some closing in your opening and opening in your closing. Or you can take a movement that is generally opening and find little bits of, you can break it down as much as you want. So let's see. So then, bend, bow, shoot, tiger. So this is already, this is way in the end of our form. This is 42B. We have gotten our partner's dragged us down by the arm, twisting our arm. He's holding us here. He's about to kick this leg. So how am I going to get out of this? I can't resist here. I can agree. He's sort of dragging me down. So I need to switch feet because he's kicking this leg. So I switch feet and agree with his force going down, and then when I come back up, if I go down, he's going to come back up. And then I just go up with him and bend the bow and shoot the tiger. Okay? But what if that doesn't work? If he won't let go of my arm, I can leave it there as a fulcrum and just leave it there and just let that, and just pull against that to drive this in. See? Let's pull him towards me or her. So either way, this is a great thing. And I'm all bent over because I'm imagining the actual application, but you know, in real life it would be something like this. It'd be, you know, it'd be upright. It'd be with good form. But in our form, we've been dragged over. So that's that. Let's see. Then let's see. Oh, I promised I would show you push through mountain as if it were Qigong, okay? And this will be our stepping for the day. So if you took a break during the form, this is your chance to get some exercise. Remember what we did before with the crossed hands? We'll do this, and just like before, same hand, same foot. This will make it as easy as possible. So we're going to circle under, step out, and open the great fan, or push through mountain. Let me, before we go back and forth, let me show this to you. It's also known as fan through the back. And you're really opening your whole back out. This is pulling back, this is pushing forward, but this is all opening simultaneously. And the power is in the heel of the hand, right? So it's like, and I hope my form is okay. I mean, I'm all bent over. Again, formally, this is not correct, but in real life, you know, you would get somewhat twisted up. And this also, this top hand is not just waving through space. In the same way, I could have grabbed my partner by the scruff of their neck or their shoulder, right, and be pushing in, or like the lapel, again, the lapel or the collar of their garment, and then bam, or their arm. Actually, in our application, it's their arm. And I'm hitting their ribs, right? So bam, so feel the power. Okay, so now you know the application. Now we'll do it, and it's a big open as you can. It's big, it feels great, opens your chest and shoulders and your heart and your lungs and your ribs. So again, we'll do it like Qigong now, as far as I can until you can't see my hands and feet anymore. Okay, so same hand, same foot, forward. We're going to just loop under, step out, and fan through the back. Okay, great. And then just step up. So the other hand, left hand's in front now. Step out. See how that works? Okay. My right hand's going to be closer to you this time. All right. This feels great. Left hand's closer to you this time. As big as you can make it. Big deep breath. Inhale as you open. Step in. So, according to my application that I just told you, I'm much higher than my partner's rib cage. It just feels so good. I'm going way higher. I'm really exaggerating because it feels so good, right? But there's nothing up here. This is not a real strike. So maybe I'll do it a little bit closer to earth. Okay, so a little more real. Have my partner's arm right at their rib cage and then open. It doesn't feel as good. One more time. I'm going to do it big. I don't care. Big, big, big. Oh, that feels great. I think I can get a little bit closer to you guys. Maybe this is the last one. Yeah, that's the last one. You can't see my hands anymore. Okay, so come back to here. And you know what you can always do. If you are making up your own drills or Qigong, just end with your hands at the Dantian. Great place to always end up. Or down here, back in Wuji pose. Okay, that feels really good. That's a great one. Okay, so for our balance, we will do Gaotan Ma or high pat the horse. Why are we doing it in the archery set? What does that have to do with anything? Well, when we talked about it before, the research shows that Gaotan Ma actually might refer to not patting a horse. It might refer to a mounted archer. And in some forms, instead of just being here, there's some of this, which again has that archery feeling, right? Not in our form. In our form, we just come around. Let's see, we go here. Okay, so there's none of this, but in some forms there is. So that could be the true meaning of high pat the horse is not good horsey. It's the shape of a mounted archer. So this will be our balance. So it's same hand, same same foot up. You can be on your toes if your balance is iffy, or you can just raise your knee. And in our case, it's a knee strike and a back of the hand strike, and this is a block. So strike, strike, block, something like that. Okay, big deal. Okay, switch. All right, switch again. Oh, are we doing that? Yeah, stay here and shh, don't tell anyone. Stay here until you lose your balance, and just take that opportunity to switch. And this movement of the hands, this is also very Gaotan Ma. I don't know why, but this spiraling, right? That's not very archery, so don't worry about it. Uh-oh, I had the wrong hand up. Okay, okay, so wait. Okay, here. And remember, sink. Okay, it gets much easier to balance if you sink down. I was too high. Okay. How long do you guys want to do this? We're done. All right, you done with your balance? Enough balance? All right, good. Okay, that is all I had for you today. That's some good stuff. Here's a little homework assignment. If you find a balance that you find to be easy, so maybe toes down, use that as a meditation. Try meditating in your balance, because it causes your mind to focus on what you're doing. Balancing brings your mind into your body almost more than anything else, unless it frustrates you. But if you were to find this to be calming and soothing, you could meditate here. And then every now and then, switch. Feel your body sway. Balance doesn't mean that your body's not moving, remember? Let your body sway. Okay, you get the idea. You can press pause if you want to do that some more. Okay, so lifting water. Remember why we do the same ending Qigong every week? 2 reasons. For new people, the last thing we do is the only thing you're likely to remember. Second reason for our regulars is this movement allows you to see what your energy's doing. So if these archery movements affected you in a certain way, you'll feel it now. And sometimes it's interesting. I'm going to do one more. So our archery proverb is very old, unattributed, but extremely beautiful. Just as the archer loves the arrow that flies away, so too does he love the bow that remains in his hands. I'll say that again. Just as the archer loves the arrow that flies away, so too does he love the bow that remains in his hands. And thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed this set. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you didn't, just wait till next week. We'll do something different. Thank you very much.